Welcome to our channel Mooley Entertainment. If you are new to our channel, then please like and subscribe, and share with friends. Thank you. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the city as I settled into the familiar chaos of hostel life. My room was a cozy refuge, filled with the remnants of late-night study sessions and the echoes of laughter from my friends. Among them was my closest companion, Alex, a free-spirited soul with a knack for adventure. He had recently left for a weekend trip, leaving me alone to indulge in my thoughts and desires. As the evening wore on, I found myself caught in a moment of vulnerability. The room was quiet, the world outside bustling with life, but I felt an overwhelming sense of solitude. I had been exploring my own body more lately, discovering new sensations and pleasures that both excited and confused me. The freedom of being alone provided the perfect opportunity to indulge in my desires. With the door securely locked and the curtains drawn, I allowed myself to fully embrace the moment. I lost myself in the sensations, my heart racing as I surrendered to the pleasure coursing through me. It was a private moment, one that I had thought was free from interruption. But just as I was lost in my own world, the unexpected happened. The door creaked open, and in walked Alex's father, Mr. Carter. I froze, panic washing over me as I realized I had been caught in an incredibly compromising situation. His eyes widened in shock, and for a brief moment, time stood still. I scrambled to cover myself, embarrassment flooding my cheeks. "Mr. Carter, I'm so sorry," he blurted out, quickly averting his gaze. "I thought Alex was here." The air was thick with tension, and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't think anyone would be here," I stammered, my voice barely above a whisper. Mr. Carter took a step back, his expression a mix of surprise and confusion. "I didn't mean to intrude. I'll come back later," he said, turning to leave. "Wait," I called out, desperation creeping into my voice. "Please don't go. This is embarrassing enough as it is." He hesitated, glancing back at me. The tension in the room was palpable, and I could sense the unspoken words hanging in the air. "Are you sure?" he asked cautiously. "Yes," I replied, my voice steadier now. "I think we need to talk." He took a deep breath and stepped further into the room, closing the door behind him. A mix of relief and apprehension washed over me as we stood there, the weight of the moment settling heavily between us. "I didn't mean for you to see that," I said, my cheeks still flushed with embarrassment. "It was a private moment." Mr. Carter nodded, his gaze softening. "I understand. We all have our moments of vulnerability." The atmosphere shifted slightly, the initial shock giving way to an unexpected sense of understanding. "I didn't know you were coming over," I added, trying to ease the tension. "I was just checking in on Alex, but I guess I walked in at the wrong time," he replied, a hint of a smile creeping onto his lips. "I'm not here to judge you." I felt a strange sense of relief wash over me. "Thank you. It's just, I've been exploring my own sexuality, and it's been a confusing journey," I admitted, vulnerability creeping into my voice. Mr. Carter's expression softened further, and he took a seat on the edge of the bed, maintaining a respectful distance. "It's completely normal to explore your desires. It's a part of figuring out who you are." His words resonated with me, and I found myself opening up to him in a way I hadn't anticipated. I've always felt a bit lost. I didn't know how to navigate my feelings, and being here alone made me feel free. He nodded, a knowing look in his eyes. "It's a journey we all take at some point. The important thing is to be true to yourself and to explore those feelings safely." As we talked, I felt a connection developing between us. Mr. Carter was surprisingly understanding, and his presence was calming. I found myself sharing more about my experiences, my desires, and the confusion that often accompanied them. I've always admired how comfortable you are in your own skin, he said, his voice warm. It takes courage to embrace who you are, especially in a world that can be judgmental. I felt a sense of gratitude for his support, and a part of me wished I could express my appreciation more openly. Thank you for saying that. It means a lot to hear it from someone like you. He smiled, and for a moment, the awkwardness of the situation faded. Just remember that it's okay to explore and to be curious about your own body and desires. His words hung in the air, and I felt a flutter of something more, a connection that transcended the initial embarrassment. I had never expected to find myself in this situation, yet here we were, sharing a moment of vulnerability and understanding. Can I ask you something? I ventured, my heart racing. Of course, he replied, his gaze steady. Do you ever feel like you want to explore your own desires? I mean, as a person who's been through life, do you ever find yourself curious about what it would be like to experience something different? Mr. Carter's expression shifted, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. I suppose everyone has their curiosities. Life is about exploration and understanding what truly makes us happy. There was a pause, and I could feel the tension building again. I can't help but wonder what it would be like to share that exploration with someone who understands. His gaze held mine, and I could see the wheels turning in his mind. It's a natural desire, he said softly. Exploring intimacy with someone you trust can be a beautiful experience. I felt a rush of boldness as I leaned in slightly. What if that someone could be you? The world around us faded as we locked eyes, the air charged with unspoken possibilities. I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as I waited for his response. Mr. Carter took a deep breath, and a slow smile spread across his face. You're a brave person for expressing that. I never expected this conversation to take such a turn. I didn't either, I admitted, my heart racing. But there's something about this moment that feels right. He moved closer, the distance between us shrinking as the tension in the room shifted. We have to be careful, though. This is a delicate situation. I know, I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. But I can't help how I feel. With that, he reached out, his hand brushing against mine. The touch sent a jolt of electricity through me, igniting a fire that had been simmering beneath the surface. Our eyes locked, and I could feel the connection deepening. Are you sure? He asked, his voice low and inviting. Yes, I breathed, my heart pounding in my chest. In that moment, we crossed an unspoken boundary, leaning in closer until our lips met in a tentative kiss. It started softly, exploring the taste of one another, but quickly deepened as passion ignited between us. I melted into him, feeling the warmth of his body against mine, the kiss enveloping us in a cocoon of desire. As our lips moved together, I felt the weight of the world lift. The embarrassment from earlier faded away, replaced by a thrilling sense of freedom. This was a moment I never expected, and yet it felt so right. We pulled away, breathless and wide-eyed, our foreheads resting against each other. I can't believe we just did that, he said, a playful smile dancing on his lips. Neither can I replied, feeling a rush of exhilaration. Are you okay with this? He asked, concern flickering in his eyes. I think so, I replied, my heart racing. It feels right to explore this connection. Mr. Carter smiled, a mixture of warmth and excitement in his gaze. Then let's take it slow and see where this leads. With that, we began to explore the depths of our connection, sharing kisses that grew more passionate with each passing moment. The world outside faded into oblivion as we lost ourselves in each other, savoring the thrill of this unexpected intimacy. As the evening wore on, we shared our thoughts, our dreams, and our desires, building a bond that felt both exhilarating and profound. There was a sense of understanding that transcended our initial embarrassment, and I felt grateful for the unexpected turn of events that had brought us together. In that moment, I realized that life is filled with surprises. Sometimes, we find connections in the most unlikely places, and it's those moments of vulnerability that can lead to the most profound experiences. As the night deepened, we continued to explore our newfound connection, knowing that whatever happened next, we had crossed a threshold into uncharted territory, one filled with love, desire, and the promise of something beautiful.